Right. Can we please talk about in the Dora the Explorer movie?
I wish I've never seen.
And we should watch it.
I think it's on Now TV, actually. So
Watch it.
You know, I've got free
There's
time
one
coming
thing that happens in it, hopefully I want to talk about,
Yeah.
right? Not Danny Trejo voicing a monkey. That's fine.
up. You're
No problem with that. Not Andrew Pena existing.
I don't know who Andrew Pena is.
He's in Ant-Man. He's the guy that talks fast.
Oh,
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena.
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 Penis.
It's Pena.
Michael Pena.
It's like when I'm making a pina colada. I'm going to make a peenie.
No, I don't mind that he's in it. I don't mind much about the film. I actually thought, as far as kids' films go, it's fine. What fucks me off?
I like how low you are level-wise right
Because this is serious.
This is important.
What fucks me off, at the beginning of the film, she's like, I put boots on the monkey, which is her little monkey friend, right?
Yeah.
Pink. Don't mind that the monkey's pink.
Who voices the monkey again?
Danny Trejo.
Yeah, which we're okay with.
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me the monkey's pink either.
It doesn't bother. No,
doesn't bother me.
No.
She's like, I put boots on the monkey.
Yep.
Her family, Michael Pena, and pretty much everyone, her best friend, her brother, I can't remember who else is in it. They're all like,
Michael Caine's in it.
They're all like, Dora the Explorer. Monkeys don't wear clothes. Animals don't wear clothes, right? And they don't talk. What are you talking about? Don't be so silly. Fast forward 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The villain in Dora the Explorer, the main villain, is a fox who stands on two legs called Swipe.
Who's the fox voiced by?
I can't remember.
Is it Danny Trejo?
No. But he...
Danny DeVito?
It might be.
Danny Dyer?
But he's like...
Any other actor with the name Danny that voices...
Listen, he stands on two legs and he's called Swiper, and to stop him you have to say Swiper, no swiping. Right?
So it's like a Tinder profile?
Kind of. He turns up. He's wearing a bandana. He's got a mask on. He's a walking two-legged fox.
Yeah.
Nobody bats a
What
fucking
did he
eye.
say?
So much, and nobody bats an eye, and nobody turns and says, "Hey, Dora, I'm so sorry. Maybe your monkey is actually a talking monkey that can walk around and wear boots." Because here's all of my world has just been blown open. Here's a fox that's walking, talking, wearing clothes. I might have been wrong. Nobody apologizes to Dora. They just continue telling her that her monkey can't talk.
Wait, but the monkey can talk?
It's Danny Trejo's voice.
But she doesn't know the monkey can talk.
She thinks the monkey can talk. But she tells everyone, and they tell her that she's wrong.
Right, okay.
And then this fox turns
Okay,
up.
I've caught up with you now.
Nobody bats an eyelid.
So everyone's fine with the fox talking, and
No, they're not even fine with it. It's like it's not a thing.
but the
It
monkey
doesn't get mentioned.
But the monkey talking
The
is
fox turns up as a full-fledged character as the head of an evil organization. And they're just like, it's not a problem.
Uh-huh.
But she's been telling them that her pet monkey can wear boots and talk, and they're like, shut up, Dora.
They're just like, you're an idiot. Like
Pretty much.
it's like
Nobody apologizes.
What's the
Swiper, the fox.
Swiper? It's Benicio del Toro.
It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. So won't you lend an ear?
Hello, beautiful humans of this planet.
Start that again.
Okay. Hey, everyone.
No, bring the energy down.
Okay.
Started too low, went too high. I
Okay.
need middle.
How we doing, everyone? Nope.
Still too high.
Right. Okay. I'm just trying to get like what you do.
A little bit down. You're close. A little bit less.
Hi, everyone. It's the Meandering
That was it.
Movie Podcast. And once again, we are back. It's episode 3 of season 3. Boom, we're doing it. Look at this. Episodes in a regular time period. Don't get used to this.
In Narnia.
No, we're not doing it.
Really quickly. Just a real quick, before we get into it.
It's never a quick aside.
It's a quick
Because then I
aside.
feed off of it.
In Narnia, they go to Narnia, they live to they're kids, they're like 12, right? And
Yeah.
they live to like 50, they look. Like,
Yeah,
like
I saw the first
adults.
one with James McAvoy. When
Yeah, that's what I'm
he's
talking
got his
about.
little boy body.
You remember, and they live in Narnia until they're kings and queens. They've been there for like 50 years.
Okay, yeah.
They're all old, and they're like, oh, I remember this place. And they come back through the
cupboard.
wardrobe, the cupboard.
Whichever one. They all came out of the cupboard. The
They all
closet.
come back out of the wardrobe, and they're little kids again, right?
Okay, yeah.
Fucked. Those kids are going to be having sex, and they're like 12. Because what do you spend 50 years banging and being grown up? What are you going to come out and do? You're going to be like, well, I'm now a 50-year-old man trapped in the body of a 10-year-old.
I'm going to go back to school and like have a bedtime and shit.
Those kids are fucked. Second question, if they go back into the wardrobe, back to Narnia, do they age up? Or do they live in the world that they have set up as kings and queens as children again?
Welcome to episode 3 of the Meandering Movie Podcast. Because we're recording this right after the other one, it's still just Gary and I. There's things that might have just been said that probably will not make it into the episode. So
I think leave all that's fine.
Okay. Yep, Gary's here. I am the luscious little locks of hair atop your head, Gavin Stewart. And today we are kind of discussing an amalgamation of films that all fall under one theme.
A lot of films are being released. We kind of want to talk about a bunch of them. They all have the same theme, which is good because it lets us talk about them in some depth. But also, we're not talking about any particular movie because we found a loophole.
Because we can't be contained. So we're talking about the kind of...
Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Matrix.
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
Maybe a bit of Transformers. Probably.
Why Transformers?
Well, same theme, isn't it?
Sure, okay.
What's the theme?
Nostalgia. Now, we have done an episode...
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Nope. We have done an episode...
Michael Bay's one.
Did you see Mike Bezos? Jeff Bezos?
Michael Bezos.
Brother of Jeff Bezos. Poorest man in the world.
Do you know what... You know what I found out the other day? Jesus' brother's name?
John.
Bingle.
Bingle? Yeah. That sounds like a character from a kid's cartoon.
Bingle Christ.
Fuck off.
I'm being sick.
Nope. So, we have done an episode of nostalgia before, but that was nostalgia for 80s. Oh, Gary's struggling to get up here. See, that was like watching an old granny try and get out of the seat to get the door when it rings. So that's going to be my package.
Mid-episode of Countdown.
That's going to be my package. I got to get my chair. Give a hand there, sonny.
Do you know how much points you get for finishing the Countdown Conundrum?
10?
Yeah! Well done.
Look at me go. So we're going to talk about recently. Watch me just keep us trucking down this track. We had Ghostbusters Afterlife, which was primarily built around, hey, do you remember the first Ghostbusters movie? And
it was a fucking con as well, because what they sold it as is like, hey guys, it's the new generation of Ghostbusters. The kids, we're not touching on the old stuff. Look, we've got...
I love how you went from the kids to we're not touching it. It's like,
we got new kids in, new characters. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things fame.
Everyone loves him.
That girl that's in fucking everything, who's actually really good, and I should learn her name, but because she's a good actress. Yeah. She's the main character. And
you've got Carrie Coon, who's incredible in The Leftovers.
We're ignoring the old Ghostbusters. It's a brand new film. Except Psych! Who loves the old Ghostbusters?
Do you remember Proton Packs? Do you remember Slimer, but this time it's like Muncher?
He's the fucking
Do you remember Ecto-1? Do you remember the music?
Do you remember Gozer?
Do you remember Gozer?
Do you remember the villain from the first movie?
Do you remember the same villains from the first movie, but now they're CGI'd more? Do you remember Bill Murray and Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and...
You did this in the wrong order. You should have said, do you remember Bill Murray? Do you remember Dan Aykroyd? Do you remember Winston Zeddemore, Ernie Hudson? Which one's the character?
Ernie Hudson's the actor.
You should have done it in that order. And then inexplicably, do you remember Harold Ramis? Do you remember how Harold Ramis died years ago?
In real life?
In real life. So there's no way they can put Harold Ramis in a movie, except they fucking did.
They two-packed him into the movie. And it's awful.
Oh, it's so grim.
So yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Matrix Resurrections, which is, do you remember the first Matrix movie? Do you remember how that opens?
Remember Neo?
Do you remember Bullet Time? Do you remember Zion? Do you remember Smith?
Remember Trinity? Do you remember Martin Lawrence?
No, what's his name? I've forgotten his name.
Martin Lawrence.
It's not Martin Lawrence. Lawrence Fishburne. You fucked me up with Martin Lawrence because then I started putting Lawrence at the end. You remember Lawrence Fishburne, but it's not Lawrence Fishburne. It's another actor.
Why did Lawrence Fishburne just not want to come back?
I mean, I think he's a bit old and a bit podgy at this point. Plus, if you were him and you read that script, you'd be like, no fucking chance. This is dog shit awful.
Remember the Wachowski sisters?
Well, it's only one. It's only Lana Wachowski this time.
And then Spider-Man.
Do you remember the first Spider-Man movie? Do you remember the first Amazing Spider-Man movie? Do you remember the villains like Doc Ock and Green Goblin and Electro? Do you remember Tobey McGuire and Andrew Garfield? Hey, let's build all of our movies around these things you remember and not have actual movies anymore. Do you remember, guys?
It's a weird... And like we've got more coming because you know for a fact Doctor Strange Multiverse Madness releasing next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week.
I mean, sometime in April.
Sometime soon.
Whenever this episode goes
That's
out.
going to 100. Do you remember the X-Men? Remember Patrick Stewart?
Oh, yeah, because he's in the
His
trailer.
voice is in the trailer.
Plus,
His
Sam
voice.
Raimi's directing, so he's going to do some Evil Dead callbacks. Do you remember the Evil Dead? No one will get the Evil Dead callbacks because no one watched actual good movies. People just watched Doctor Strange and whatever else now.
Spider-Man 2 is full of Evil Dead.
We're also so full of Evil
So
Dead. It's
full, it's
gorgeous.
great.
We're all like Uncle Ben's car in the first Spider-Man is the car from Evil Dead when they're driving into the
That's
woods.
in every Sam Raimi film.
In every just like Bruce Campbell, who will probably be in Doctor Strange too.
I hope so.
God, he better be. And then that Flash movie that comes out next year is going to have Michael Keaton's Batman.
That's rebooting the entire DC extended
Yes.
universe.
So we're going to have Michael Keaton's Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman, and we're going to have the original Batmobile. Because do you remember Tim Burton's Batman? Do you remember the Batmobile? Do you remember Ben Affleck's Batman that came out like 4 years ago, wherever that was? Do you remember that? It's all in the movie. Because do you remember? Who cares anymore? Why have anything you're interesting? Do you remember?
It's so like this. I mean, DC have always followed in Marvel's footsteps. Like they're constantly playing catch up. But it's just so funny that like at least with Matrix and Ghostbusters, they were just like, yeah, nostalgia. That's what we're leaning into. DC are just like, oh wait, look what Marvel just did with No Way Home. We should do that
Immediately.
right, like as quick as we can, guys. People loved it.
No Way Home was such an interesting one because
Which one do you want to start with?
right, I think I
We
want to start.
We should structure this
I
episode.
want to start with No Way Home because
We should have structured this episode off mic, but here we are. How do you want to structure this episode?
we pretty much said, should we talk about those things? We went, yes. Like, turn the mics off.
Hit the record button.
No Way Home was the only one that I feel was like put it in your face to be like, this is going to be a Remember Berries situation.
Yeah.
Which is you're going to like remember these things. Whereas Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Ghostbusters were pretty bad.
No, but even the
Ghostbusters was bad for a different reason, actually.
But
And it
in
wasn't a bad film.
But I mean,
sorry.
like in the trailers for all these movies,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
No Way Home was like, get ready, it's going to be a remember.
Yeah,
Remember
the
this thing.
trailers were like, oh, we've got, look, it's Defoe, it's Jamie
like
Foxx.
the first trailer's like, here's Doc Ock.
Should we talk about No Way Home then? We'll segment off this bit?
Yeah.
So No Way Home came out. Both saw it. I didn't hate it. It's not my favorite It's not my favorite Marvel or Spider-Man movie, but I didn't hate it. I think what it did well. I do agree. Far too much remembrance going on. Far too much reliance on the nostalgia of these older movies. And it's one of those films that you sit, you watch it, you enjoy the ride like a roller coaster, and you get off and you're like, there is a lot of problems with that film.
Yeah, I remember vividly when I came out because you and Phil, I think Ryan had all already seen it, and I hadn't seen it yet. And I came out of it, and I was like, I think everyone probably was, just kind of like dazzled by the lights and nostalgia. And I was like, oh, that was wonderful because I'd seen Tobey McGuire, and for me that was my Spider-Man growing up. I had the DVDs. We've talked about Spider-Man before. I love those movies. I think they're great. We literally just did a breakdown, and most of those movies are high on the list. So for me, I was like, oh, it's Tobey McGuire, it's Doc Ock, Willem Dafoe being the fucking G of all fucking G.
Yeah,
like
Dafoe-
that boy
Dafoe
is
pulls it back.
incredible in that movie. But you come out of the movie and you're just kind of like, wait, but what was the movie? Like, what did I just see? Because everything you think about is you're thinking about Tobey Maguire coming out of the portal. You're thinking about Willem Dafoe just being Incredible Green Goblin again. You're like, oh, it's Tom Holland and Green Goblin. But when it comes to the actual film, the way it's presented, you're like, it's not really a film. It's more like a photo album of old memories with like a loose plot
You
kind
got
of
Tom
around it.
Holland's arc where he loses everything, he feels like, and then he overcomes that.
Yeah.
Which is a good character, but that's it. That's his entire arc for the entire movie. And really that happens in the second act going into the third act. Everything up to that is build up, and everything after that is kind of for the next.
And the build up is so bad. It's just like you're a criminal and you've done a terrible thing and you've killed a person. Anyway, you're not now. So go fight the guys from the other movies that we all remember. And you're like, okay, I guess we're doing this movie. Like what? And then it's like, okay, now it's a fetch quest from a video game. So go fetch them. Okay, we got them all now. Okay, now they're turning against you, and it becomes an almost Sinister Six type situation, but not Sinister Six situation.
And that's the thing. Like the action when it starts in the middle of the second act, through to the end is a roller coaster, and a good roller coaster.
It's fucking fun.
It's real. You know, you've got them in the apartment, and you've kind of got those gags and happies and the fucking what's it called? The transmogrifier, whatever the fuck, synthesizer.
Yeah.
You got all that stuff, and then his spider sense is going off, and Defoe's plan comes to fruition, and it's like, and you get the death, and then you get everything through to the end, and you get like all, you know, and then it kind of, this is what I was saying about, you get Tom Holland's arc. Does Tobey McGuire have an arc, or is he just there? I'm trying to.
Tobey McGuire's kind of there as the old weathered guard.
Yeah,
of kind of like, I've been through all this. It's gonna be okay.
Andrew Garfield gets his hero moment.
He's
saves
still in the middle part
MJ.
where he's still grieving, and he's never got his like
closure.
Yeah,
but that's my point. It's like those characters exist, and other than Garfield saving MJ
and Peter stopping Green Goblin from getting stabbed by his own glider,
that's it.
I mean, but that's all.
That's finishing arcs that didn't really exist.
It's creating and finishing stories that didn't need to be created or finished, so people can go, because
Andrew Garfield got to save MJ.
the amount of times I'm on
like,
like Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and you see, or YouTube, and you see people who's like, this was the greatest moment of my life when like Andrew Garfield saves MJ, and it's like, but who cares? Because, and I've said this about Star Wars fans, and I'm going to say it about Marvel fans now. You lying two-faced fuckers out there who are like, Andrew Garfield should come back and have another go.
Man.
He needs another movie. He was so
many
good.
People are now in the like, Andrew Garfield was always my favorite Spider-Man.
It's like, so amazing.
Off.
He's like, his movies actually aren't that bad. Like, I went back and watched them. It's like, no.
I fell into that trap. I was like, we spoke about the Spider-Man films, and I was like, I'm going to go through them all. And I stick by my ratings on Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 in their thing. However, hands up, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2
are awful.
They're the biggest cinema sin, as I have said, and I will continue to say on this podcast and in real life, the biggest cinema sin any film can have, when your sole goal is to be an entertaining piece of media to be watched for an hour and a half, is being boring.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're bad and entertaining, at least you're entertaining.
Yes.
I would rather that. If you're a film and you are boring, biggest cinema sin. And those films they are filled with just boring moments.
That's
it's
such
unreal.
A perfect way to put it, because bad films, like you said, can be good. Think of the amount of bad films out there that we actively go out and watch because they're fun and how bad they are.
I know we spoke a lot about it. I don't want to go too much. Sonic 1 and Sonic 2.
I can't believe you've now made this crossover into a second episode.
They're not great films, but they're at least fun. They at least keep that up.
They're go to the cinema and have a laugh, come out and joke about it with your friends. Yeah. Whereas with those Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, especially the first one, the second one has some kind of moments.
And the first one's got some good moments. I'm not decrying this film as straight up horrendous. Yeah. Because it does do some things well, but for the most part, it's like, oh my goodness.
And you can go back to episode 1 of season 3 and listen to more about what we thought of those movies. But yeah, it's just like all the stuff that's come from it. It's people posting clips of like Tobey Maguire walking through the thing, or it's posting clips of the three of them doing their poses when they land, or I never fought an alien, or I love like moments.
I don't have shooters, but what? Yeah, look, it's organic.
But the problem is, it's just like the movie is intermittent moments kind of connected by a very, very loose, very shoddy like plot that's to set up.
That's the next thing I was going to say. Yeah, like it's Marvel using this film as the like, right, this will be the big hitter because people love Spider-Man's, and it will also kickstart us into the next season of the Marvel verse where
the multiverse
can come in, and that's cool. And I'm sure people will find the episode where I spoke about it, and I was like, I'm buzzing for this because it's going to let Marvel blow the lid off of it. And I am still excited because I'm still excited for them now to be able to go like, all right, cool, fucking, you want to see 4 different Iron Mans? And thankfully, Robert Downey Jr. is fucked off, so it'll just be like, here's 4.
Oh, he'll be back.
He probably will. But here's 4 incarnations of any character that you love that we're just going to give you. Like, we're going to give you some mental shit now. Awesome. Down for that. But I do wish that the No Way Home had done it slightly more... Is relaxed the right word? I wish it just hadn't been quite so in my face.
So over the top intense.
Yeah.
And here's the other problem that it's now set up with this multiverse thing, is they've seen how well, because No Way Home has made an immense amount of money, and of course, like I said in the last episode, studios are very simple. The crossover would be like, we did the nostalgia thing of bringing back actors from old comic book movies, and that movie made a lot of money, so we're now going to see, because of this whole multiverse thing opening up, we're going to probably see Patrick Stewart's Xavier in Doctor Strange, and we're going to start to see what's his the guy who played Rhino in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Not Stanley Tucci.
No, it's not Stanley Tucci, but I wish it was.
It's not Steve Buscemi.
Not Steve Buscemi.
It's the little guy with a baldy head. What's his name?
Oh, I can't remember. But like
Andrew Rockefeller?
It's not even close. Let me...
Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti. Yeah, like we're going to see him come back, or we're definitely going to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine at some point, but it's going to be like the first class cameo type of deal where he just says fuck off, and that's we're gonna and they're gonna sell the movie on that now, and that's what the movies are just gonna be. Like Marvel,
well, and that's like I was speaking to friends about it, and it's like Marvel are definitely falling into this rabbit hole of just like
remember
and also remember and like just these, like, rather than setting up good films which stand by themselves, and like Shang-Chi did it awesome, because
that's why it was the best one of last year. It was like
no outside information, but we're just falling into this as like, hey, look at this thing, look at that. How cool is this? It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool, but what about the film? What about this film? It's like, yeah, but Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, right? It's like, yeah, that's cool.
And that will be...
What about this film?
That will be the stinger at the end of the trailer. It'll be the thumbnail for the trailer. And it'll be the thing that will make people go watch the film. And the film itself could be bang fucking average. Like, God knows, it could be some real shite. But because it has the Hugh Jackman's Wolverine cameo, or
Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool,
or Tom Hardy's Venom, no, it's people are just it's gonna make them think it's more than it actually is. It's taking away the idea of a movie and just making a remember this experience. And you know who are the worst for it? We'll get to Ghostbusters and Matrix in a second, because this just popped in my head. Fucking Star Wars and The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Where it's like, do you remember Luke Skywalker? Do you remember him?
So I've seen the book. No, I've seen The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. Haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett yet.
Have I.
But like the first episode, the first season of The Mandalorian is brilliant. Me and Hannah watched through that, and I was like, this is fucking dynamite. This is actually so good, and it's these characters. I don't. That's clearly a Yoda, whatever the fuck Yoda is, and that's clearly a Boba Fett kind of guy. Awesome. And they even pull the rug when there's the episode in the first season when they go and Timothy Oliphant's wearing
Boba Fett's
armor, and it's like, oh, Boba Fett. It's like, nah, I just found this old junk somewhere, and it's like,
so good. It's
awesome.
Like,
you've pulled the rug out from under me. Nice.
Yeah.
Season 2. Hey, look, Luke Skywalker. Look, actual Boba Fett. Look, Ashoka. Look at all these references. We can cram them all in. It's the whole season of cramming shit in.
It's Star Wars.
Please, no. And then from what I've heard, Book of Boba Fett just continues down that
hey,
path.
do you remember Tatooine? I know Luke Skywalker's in the Book of Fett. But yeah, it's just like, they're the worst for it. It's the Disney machine of remember berries, but then you've also, because it's worked so well for them, and that's what the like Force Awakens is literally just, do you remember A New Hope? Do you remember the first Star Wars movie? Because here's the first Star Wars movie again.
And then the Rise of Skywalker is
yes. Do you remember the Force Awakens? Like the time frame for remembering is shortening to the point where I give it 2 more years before it's, do you remember Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man? Here he is again, and he's going to walk through a portal of some type. He's just going to make a wee quip of just like, oh, I couldn't do it without me, guys. And he'll be in the movie for 4 seconds. It'll all be CGI, and he'll fuck off and make $50 million.
Yeah.
And it's like, remember things. And as much as we've just shouted about No Way Home and Marvel, the worst example that we saw was absolutely Ghostbusters Afterlife, because it's different from Marvel because it's trying to do what Disney has done with Star Wars and Marvel.
Very quickly before we go into it, my final thing on Spider-Man is I do like Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'm a big Marvel fan. Everyone knows it. I like the film. It had its problems, but I did like it. I had a point, and I just wanted to get it out before we segued into Ghostbusters, and now I fucking forgot about it. I did like it. I was kind of like, I think before it, I was one of the biggest decriers as well. You probably remember. I was kind of like, I'm kind of getting nervous about what it's going to be.
You said this in episode 1 of season 3. We were kind of like, I don't really know if I'm wanting this.
It's like I've been talking about wanting it for so long, but now it's getting closer. I'm like, I don't know if I do. It was better than I was expecting, and I'm glad it was what it was. I do wish that they'd, and my final thought is I just wish they'd spent more time making the film like a worthy piece of cinema.
I'll take your sentence and change it. I wish they'd spent the time making a film. That's it.
Yeah, like rather than just a bunch of set pieces that are cool because they're cool.
Because you remember things as well.
Yeah. But Ghostbusters is by far 10 times worse, because Ghostbusters falls into its own fucking bullshit trap of like, hey guys, we're making a Ghostbusters film. Cool. No problem with that. We're not going to do anything to do with the SNL female-led Ghostbusters.
Thank God.
And yeah, I've said this before. I wish that film had been good. I was so ready
just to make the trolls online.
All the trolls
eat their
and all
own
the people
dirt.
being so horrendous, and I was ready to be like, look, it was a good film. Fuck you. Sit down. I can argue that film into the fine. You want to be racist and sexist? Awesome. I will put you down because the film's good. They released it, and I'm like, oh, I can't even defend this.
The movie's not like
it's indefensible.
I chose to rewatch it after watching Ghostbusters Afterlife, just to be like, where is Ghostbusters now in my because I love the first one.
Yep.
Second one's
I love the second one, but I think I grew up. That was one of my
I could take it or leave it. And I was like, so I'm going to rewatch this one because I only saw it once outside the cinema. It's awful.
It's
like,
not great.
oh my! I watched it with Audio Boy, and he's quite a good gauge because sometimes I can be like, "That's off." He's like, "It was fine." He was like, "That was awful," and like, yeah, he was just like, and it's nothing to do with the casting, and it's nothing to do with it's nothing to do with them being females. It's none of that. It's the writing. Paul Feig's writing and directing is awful because he didn't write a script. It's just a improv for 14 minutes. We'll cut a bunch. It's like our podcast. We say a bunch of shit. We cut things together and we hope it's funny.
But it's that level of SNL, just broad.
Yeah,
we're gonna make 20 jokes and we'll pick one of them out,
and we hope 3 of them land out of it.
So it's they did that, and this film was like, we're not doing anything with that. We're actually going back to the Ghostbusters everyone loves, and there's going to be reference. And I remember the original trailer. It was like, ba-dum, ba-dum,
yeah,
doo-doo. I was like, oh, that's the Ghostbusters movie. And it's like they rip off the Ecto-1, and it's like, what is this thing? And it's kind of like, it was cool because it was like, even in the film, it was going, the Ghostbusters are out of vogue. Like, they're not popular.
Yeah,
they're kind of been forgotten about, but we're gonna tie it in somehow. And then they had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men in the trailer, and they're like little gremlins now.
The minute that trailer came out, I was like, okay, we're in trouble here.
See, I wasn't too far, because I was like, okay, it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow, but at least they're tiny and they're gremlins and they're doing something different. It's not a giant one, all right? It's still doing it. It's still doing like, look, and there's a bit more Ghostbusters. I was like, all right, I'm with you. I'm swaying a bit, but it's different enough. Cool. And I think that was the last trailer I watched. And then I went to see the film. And the first 2 acts...
I would say the first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie are fine.
There's plenty of things that I can complain about. Finn Wolfhardt's character and his story do not need to be in there. He's a brother.
Doesn't exist.
There's a sequence where they're like, hey, do you want to come up to the old mine? And that's where we like kiss and do drugs and shit. And they go, and then something screams out of the mine. But that whole sequence is like 10 minutes out of them being up there. And I'm like, if the whole point was to show me something coming out of the mine, just fucking do it, because I don't need all this teenage drama romance.
A nighttime shot of like, there's an old janitor for some reason sweeping in the desert, and then there's just like a wow, and he goes whoa, and then that's it.
Cool. There's plenty I can complain about, but for the most part, it was like, okay, so it's Harold Ramis's granddaughter. He was an estranged mental case. And even here, they're setting up like, look, he was a lunatic, but here's all his old equipment. And it's like, all right, that's enough.
I can work with that.
It's like, yeah, oh, look, Proton Packs. Cool. The Ecto-1. All right.
Setting up new Ghostbusters for a new generation.
Paul Rudd's here.
People love Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd. Does he need to be in the movie? No, he does not.
But it's like, at least it's new.
No, he does not.
At least it's new.
The scene where he goes to Walmart is... awful. Like, I'm going to keep saying the word awful today because we're talking about awful movies, which is, maybe we should have tried to be more positive, but it's funnier this way.
I'm here trying to like champion.
This is what you're good for. I'm just going to be a monster. And
so it's like, so it was doing well and it was trying to set stuff up, and I was like, cool. And then the beginning of the third act. So there's this whole subline, this whole sub story with fucking J.K. Simmons' character being trapped.
I forgot he was in that movie.
So there's this whole sub story of J.K. Simmons being trapped in like stasis underground, and he's drawing the energy. So it's a little bit of Ghostbusters 2, and it's a little bit of Ghostbusters 1. He's drawing energy from like ghost negativity or some bollocks. And it's apparent that he's going to try and resurrect himself and take on the mantle of like Lord of the Town. And that just gets swept away in a 30 seconds.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons is in that movie.
He comes back to life.
Yep.
He goes, I'm alive. Wait, Gozer from Ghostbusters 1, the villain from Ghostbusters, you're here. They rip him in half. J.K. Simmons is no more.
Gone.
That's it.
And now it's we're all just straight
And
back
now,
into it.
and that's when it goes
Well
whoa.
off.
Then it's like, hey guys, Gozer. I was like, all right, I guess you had something going on with J.K. Simmons, but we're not doing that. So I'm here with Gozer, but because we've had our Dan Aykroyd cameo. Did we have Bill Murray cameo at that point? I don't think we did. Did he come up? Was it Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray?
We had
up
the
at
Dan
the end?
Aykroyd because she phones and
She
he's in the
phones him.
bookshop that he's in from Ghostbusters.
Is that
2.
it? Is that the only cameo? So I was like, okay, so you're doing all the beats. You're getting it all out. I'm fine. I'm here.
I can't remember if Bill Murray or Ernie Hudson had appeared yet. Obviously, Dan Aykroyd had his. Harold Ramis had his little bits,
Hand
like
ghost.
It
Done like a love letter, like we miss Harold Ramis, and that was nice.
Yeah, the way they treated it in the beginning, I was like, let's do this dark kind of dark lighting. You catch like a silhouette of him. You can tell that he's got the hair. It looks like Harold Ramis.
And he's a ghost, and it's kind of what he
And it's
wanted in
fine.
the
Yeah.
fucking. It was all good. It was handled well, and then the third act, it just went.
It falls apart.
Oh, it's so
Like-
bad.
And I think the problem, like for me, was
Sorry, if people haven't seen it, just to spoil this, I want to hear what you're saying. But
you
just to
technically
spoil
can't spoil the film because I've already seen it before, back in like the 80s when the first one came out.
But effectively, the film's going like, we're going to set up the new Ghostbusters, and it's passing the torch on. Here we go. Except now, look, guys, all 4 of the old Ghostbusters are back, including Harold Ramis's ghost.
A force ghost.
Force
It's a little
ghost.
force ghost from
And
Star Wars.
The new characters aren't good enough to save the day.
Yeah.
That's it. We're so sorry. But luckily, remember these guys? They can save the day. Why set the film up, passing on the torch, to then just concrete over your own fucking movie?
Because the weird thing is the film, as it's going on, like when you've got the, I guess, car chase scene, but they're chasing the ghosts through the town and stuff, and they're testing out the Proton Pack. It's like, it's them chasing them, trying to learn how to use all the tools at their disposal to become better at being Ghostbusters. And you're like, oh, cool, so we're building up to it. It's like, they fail at first, they're going to learn. By the end of the movie, they'll have mastered
They'll be
their
Ghostbusters.
and they'll be good at it. And then it gets to the end of the movie, and they're just sidelined and useless, and all the stuff they've been trying to learn to do becomes pointless. And it's just like, don't worry, these 3 very,
old
very,
men.
very old men, and one who was so old he died, are all now going to save the day in this dog shit awful hero shot of them standing side by side.
And then it does the whole like, oh, and here's Harold Ramis, and he's signing off for good, even though he's already signed off for good because he's dead.
He died.
But here he is, and he's going to hold the gun, and he's going to pat the little girl on the head, his granddaughter, and he's going to have his little hero. And it's like, but wait, Harold Ramis wasn't even set up as a bad guy in the other films.
Well, yeah, in this one they tried to set him up as a bad dad.
As a bad dad, but that's
Yes.
not a storyline from Ghostbusters 1 or 2.
No.
So he's there, and they slander the character and then just redeem it by the end of the movie in a fucking hour and a half runtime. Why?
Also,
All in the name of. Do you remember Ghostbusters 1?
Do you remember Ghostbusters?
Remember
And the
it?
annoying thing was, it was
Remember
Ivan
the
Reitman's son, Jason Reitman, who came in to do this. And because Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson love a paycheck, they said the exact same things they said when the Paul Feig movie came out, which
Never
is
doing it.
like, the script is so good, we had to sign on, we loved it. Blah, blah. It's like, no, you wanted the paycheck. And it's the same with this one. They're like, the script that Jason wrote was just so good, and we just had to sign on. It's like, no, you wanted the paycheck. Because I feel Jason Reitman wrote 2 acts.
Yep.
There was a third act, but the studio went
100%.
like, or someone involved. Maybe
Jason's third act that was definitely doing whatever the storyline with J.K. Simmons was. That was going to be, you know what I mean? That was it.
and the kids were going to build up to something, and they were going
to take over.
They were
going
going
to
to come
do it.
together.
And maybe there would have been a nice cameo of all 4 of the Ghostbusters turning up. Like, maybe, who knows? Maybe it was meant to be the original Ghostbusters turn up at the end after everything's gone. So after that phone call, Dan Aykroyd goes and gets them, and then like they turn up, and the town's fucking leveled, but the 4 Ghostbusters are there like, we did it. We saved the day. And they're like, oh, well, I guess you don't need us.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
thanks, you know, and that would have been nice of like, that would have been the passing the torch on moment.
Yeah. Instead, they take the torch away from them, take all the glory, and then at the end of the movie, the kids get into the car and drive it back to New York, and you're like, why are they going to be Ghostbusters in New York
And
now?
Ernie Hudson's bought the fucking firehouse, right?
Yeah, and he's
That was a weird element.
It was just like, what? Why is any of this? Okay, so this is a hard cut. Gary had to go pee. We lost our train of thought, so we're just going to continue from wherever we think we're going to continue, which is now The Matrix Resurrections.
I think we summarized Ghostbusters.
Okay.
We just summary of, again, 2/3 of that film are fair to decent.
Yes.
And it just loses it at the end. It just decides to take all of its own hard work and just piss it up the wall. Much like I pissed into the toilet, just pisses it all up the wall into the wind and just ruins itself.
Yeah, you reminded me there, like 2 points I was going to make, which was the first one. I remember when they're doing the car chase, in quotation marks, around the
Muncher.
town. Yeah.
Sorry, do you not think Muncher in that movie, that little blue goblin ghost thing, looks like sad Marlon Brando?
Yes.
Why?
Because everything fat and podgy that eats looks like sad Marlon Brando. It's just the way it is. I remember during that car chase scene, I was like, I just had a moment of reflection in my head to be like, oh, I don't really care, but I'm kind of disinterested now.
Yeah.
The film isn't bad. It was a fine film up until that point. I was just kind of like, and then when it did get to that bit at the end, when it just became, do you remember Gozer? Do you remember? I just, the Walmart scene with.
Sorry, I'm nodding my head in massive, like
Yes.
the like 90-degree nods of
like
yes.
he's getting whiplash like he's in 4DX.
But I realized I'm not being.
It's just like the Walmart scene with the Hellhounds and then everything. I was just
fuck me, yeah.
sitting there with apoplectic rage bubbling in my eyes. I was just like, this is. And then I came out and I remember I messaged the group chat that we have for this podcast and I went, oh, so they just did The Force Awakens but for Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Because that's literally it. It's just like The Force Awakens is, do you remember the first movie and do you remember all these things from the first movie? And that worked really well for that movie and they made a buttload of money. And so then for Ghostbusters, they thought, we'll do that, but worse and with no payoff.
What did you think of the new Corey Feldman? He was pretty good.
Who was the new Cody
The
Feldman?
little Beans kid. Who,
Oh, I liked him.
yeah, like he's
The
basically playing
the
Corey
podcast-
Feldman from Goonies, right?
The podcast kid was the best part of the movie for me.
I did like the girls' version of Harold Ramis's
Those two were good.
Igor.
And
Egon.
the Paul Rudd Caddy
She's always good. That little girl.
she's great.
She's a great actress.
And then the Caddy Coon Paul Rudd stuff was kind of funny.
Yep, I'm fine with it.
Everything's fine.
Everything was fine. Finn Wolfhard can fuck off, man.
Go back to Stranger Things. No one cares.
Don't even go back to Stranger Things. Everyone loves Finn Wolfhard, and he's like he's doing the other than Billy Mobby Bounds.
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bob. What the fuck did I just call her?
Billy Bobby Brown.
Billy Mobby Bounds.
Billy Bobby Wob.
Like I'm fine. Millie Bobby Brown's doing very well. Finn Wolfhard is doing very well. I'm fine with half of that. Millie Bobby Brown deserves to do very well. Finn Wolfhard's just shit. I've never understood why he's the one that's doing the best. I haven't seen him in anything where I'm like, good actor.
He does now that kind of like Andrew Garfield in kind of acting thing where it's just like, I'm too cool for this.
It's like he wants to do what Timothée Chalamet's doing, except he's a dweeb.
And not a good actor compared. Like Timothée Chalamet is god tier levels of acting.
If I met Timothée Chalamet in a bar, I would ask him what I could. I would, like a genie, would offer him 3 wishes, and whatever he wished for, I would move mountains to achieve.
Yeah.
If I met Finn Wolfhard in a bar, I'd say, "Your name's not Finn Wolfhard, you little dweeb," and I'd punch him, and then I'd spit on him.
And then you bury him under a mountain instead of moving mountains.
He does my head in. I hate him so much.
Interesting. I've never had. For me, Finn Wolfhard exists when a thing comes out.
Why would you pick the name Finn Wolfhard for your stage?
Because he's.
What? No, wait. I'm looking up his actual name. I'm not.
Did
calling
he
him Finn
choose
Wolfhard
that
anymore.
as his?
It's not that.
He could have come from one of those weird kind of like hippie families where like we're going to give him a special
I don't
name.
believe that's his name. I don't believe it. Where's his? I need to find out his real name. Finn Wolfhard, real name. Right. What is it, you little dickhead? It's Finn Michael Wolfhard.
I told you he's going to come from
my
one of those
God.
little like weird hippie families with like let's give him like a name that's just his. Finn Wolfhard. Yeah.
He
gonna
also looks like he's got fucking AIDS. He looks like he's...
Jesus Christ.
No, he does. He looks gaunt. He looks like a little skeleton boy.
Maybe he's ill.
I hope he is.
Wow, okay.
I hate him.
And so moving from one illness to another, The Matrix Resurrections, which is like a sickness.
This flat's freezing.
What do you mean?
It's cold. I've got cold fingers.
Oh, I'm fine. You get used to it.
You're fine because you have no fucking.
Do you want a blanket?
No, I don't want to wear a blanket. I'll fall asleep.
Oh, it's fair.
I wish what I want is I wish the flat to be a fucking room temperature
we don't
flat.
have the money to heat the flat, right?
What are you talking about? Just
We're
put
not
the
talking.
heating on.
It's fine.
The Matrix Resurrections. Piss.
Fuck. So yeah, that's what we thought of Matrix Resurrections. Piss.
It's piss.
Yeah.
I came out of that. So it was weird. I had such a weird moment. I came out of Matrix Resurrections and I was like, okay, that film was. Nobody liked Matrix 2 or 3. So I wasn't expecting to like Matrix 4. It was more like Matrix 1, but still bad. But it didn't offend me horrendous. Like, it's garbage, but it didn't offend me bad. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I was aware it was crap, but it didn't offend me the worst. Because I was like, I think it's because my expectations were...
Solo.
Just for everyone at home, my hands, if I put my hand at head level, my expectations were down at, like, butthole level.
Okay.
So I went into it, and I couldn't really be disappointed by it, because...
Yeah. We all knew it was going to be shit. We'd all seen Reloaded and Revolutions, and apart from the motorway chase scene and the fight at the end of Revolutions, those movies are fair.
I like the cake that makes you orgasm.
Yes, you do like the cake that makes you orgasm.
If you're talking about the Matrix, I'm going to talk about the cake that makes you orgasm.
I love Monica Bellucci, you know.
If I could make a cake that made you have an orgasm, I would bake many of those cakes, and I would feed them to... I'd be on the street. I'd say, have a slice of cake... 18 plus, £20 a slice. People would be like, I'm not paying £20 a slice. That's fine. I wouldn't need everyone to pay £20 a slice. I would let the word of mouth spread until I was overrun by people wanting my cake. And then people wouldn't even know why. They'd be like, it was so good. And they wouldn't want to tell, like, because if I ate that cake, I wouldn't be like, Gavin, you have to have this cake. It makes you have a cum in your pants. It makes you do a sploosh. I'd be like, Gavin, just trust me. Go get some of that £20 cake. And eventually, you probably wouldn't. You'd be like, I'm not paying £20 cake. But eventually, you'd be sitting here and you're like, why would Gary tell me to get that £20 cake? Like, it can't be that good, but it must be. You'd get it, same thing. And then you tell people. And I'd be rich off my cum cake.
I disagree, because
no.
It's like a wet dream. You don't tell people...
No, it's better than a wet dream.
No, because you're not like to people, sleep, because then you'll cum your pants. People don't want that.
No, but when you have a wet dream, you don't have a full orgasm.
True.
You wake up... You have a sexy dream. You wake up messy.
Often of you.
Thank you. You wake up messy. You miss the good bit of the process. You miss the best bit.
The worst part of like the orgasm is the cleanup afterwards.
And that's what you get. You have like a really good sexy dream, and you're like, oh man, feel like I'm so ready to go. And then you wake up, and you're like, oh, I guess I did.
And you just feel ashamed and sticky. You're like, I hate myself. I'm a 29-year-old monster.
Whereas if I was making cum cakes for people...
What kind of cake is it, though? Is it like a red velvet cupcake?
I think it's like a black chocolate gatto from the movie.
Fucking a black chocolate gatto?
Oh, look it up. It's like I'm sure the cake...
No, I mean, what's your cake?
Oh.
I don't give a fuck what the Matrix cake is.
Cake Matrix orgasm. I want to see what the cake in the Matrix is.
Your
Cake,
Google
Matrix,
search history must be horrendous.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Beautiful woman at Lavry. Because that guy... Oh, yeah, look. It's just like a... Look how good that cake is. I'd probably just...
I mean, if you're getting a piece of cake that makes you cum, it better be a good-looking cake. Do you think...
That looks pretty good.
That looks like a thick...
It looks rich.
Very dense cake.
I mean, what else is going to make you cum?
Yeah, it's true.
If you're eating cake, it's going to have to be a rich, dense
question.
cake.
Do you have to eat the whole cake, or is it like her where it's
Tiny little bite.
But then but how are you going to make money if people just like eating a crumb every time and having an orgasm?
Once I've sold the cake, Gavin, it doesn't matter. The cake costs me nothing to make.
How's the cake cost you nothing to make?
Bake a cake, Gavin. It'll cost you less than £2. They're not expensive.
I don't know how to bake.
They're not expensive.
Plus,
I'm telling you, cakes are
You're
cheap.
going to do one of your like vegan cakes that lacks any...
It doesn't matter. Gavin, people aren't eating the whole slice. They're eating a tiny fucking crumb. In fact, you know what? I'll make more money because I won't sell slices. I'll sell bites. I'll be like £20 for a bite of my cake. People are like, I ain't paying that.
We're in a pandemic.
One person's all I need, because one person will be like, I'll pay £20 for a bite of your chocolate cake.
We're in a pandemic. You can't be giving out bites of cake.
I will fucking do it, Gavin. People... everyone else will be like, I'll have what he's having. I'll have some cum cake.
So wait, do they? If they're buying a bite, do they have to bite it there in the shop in front of you?
I don't care. I'll be on the street, wherever. It doesn't matter.
You can't have people coming themselves on the street.
When Harry Met Sally, she fakes an orgasm.
Yeah.
And people aren't like, weirdo. That one woman's like, I'll have what she's having because she wants the experience.
Okay, you go to...
People will eat my cum cake. They will eat it. They will
eat
not.
my
They will,
cupcake.
and they won't. They will be back. Because if after one bite, I cum my pants, I make a mess, I'll be like, holy shit, that was incredible. I have said, I don't think I've said it on mic, but I'll say it now and I'll tell you happily. If I had a button, if I didn't have to go through the whole process of masturbating, if I had a button that I could strap down, it would be sellotape down.
Ooh, strap down.
I would sellotape the motherfucker down because there is one thing in this life that I can do for free for the best experience, right? And that's doing a cum.
Doing a cum.
It's incredible. It's the best feeling, and it doesn't cost me anything except time. If I could fuck off all the process, press my little button, you are damn right I'm pressing that button as much as I fucking can. Now, if you can make the process of pressing a button better by giving me a little nibble of cake, sweet chocolate, I'm coming. I will be buying so many bites of that cake. And you tell me you wouldn't? Because you fucking would.
What
Don't
if you're
lie.
diabetic?
Then I'll make you a sugar-free way. Doesn't matter.
I either want to name this episode "Make You Eat My Cum Cake" or "Doing a Cum." Those are two of the best things you've ever said to me.
Anyway, what were we talking? I cannot remember where we started this.
Well, you went from the orgasm cake in The Matrix Reloaded to orgasm cake.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to be like, oh, the highway chase scene's cool, and you went
the
straight
orgasm
to
cake. Yeah, it's the best bit of
straight
the
to
film.
orgasm.
Yeah, sorry,
cake.
right. Yeah, and so those bits are good.
Is there a callback to the orgasm cake in Resurrections?
That guy's there. That the guy that makes the orgasm
the
cake's there.
Maravinci.
Now he's all fucking homeless and. Why bring him? Of all the characters.
When he walked onto screen, I audibly rolled my eyes. It was like you could hear my eyes roll. It was just that intense. I was just like, when I went to see the film, I didn't rush. I saw the trailers. I'd seen Reloaded and Revolutions. I've seen other work by Lana Wachowski or the Wachowskis when they have worked together. They haven't made a good movie since 1999. Anyone out there who says 2004 Speed Racer, or not 2006's Speed Racer is a good movie, you're lying to yourself. Speed Racer is not a good movie.
Speed Racer is a treat for the eyes, and that's it. Your ears, your brain, and your body will revolt.
Will reject what's coming at it. So yeah, they've not made a good movie since 1999, which was The Matrix. So when it came to
what else have they made? Sorry,
Jupiter Ascending, Cloud Atlas.
Oh Christ!
Yeah,
Was
Speed
that
Racer.
them?
Yeah.
Those films are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gary.
I didn't realize that they don't. But those films are bad.
So when it came to Matrix
does Hugo Weaving owe them a life debt or something? Why does he keep turning up in their films?
he wasn't in Cloud Atlas.
He isn't. Hugo Weaving is predominantly in Cloud Atlas.
No,
What are you talking
sorry,
about?
he's not in Jupiter Ascending.
Jupiter Ascending is the one with Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis.
And he's a dog
He's
man.
a wolf boy.
And Eddie Redmayne speaks like this because he's evil.
That film is so unbelievably
All of
forgettable.
the time, money, and effort went to the visual effects of the spaceships and nothing else.
Remember that other space film we hated? The one that the City of a Thousand Gods.
Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, directed by Luc Besson, which was supposed to be his this is my next fifth element. I've been working on this for 12 years. It's based upon a graphic novel. And it's... Don't cast Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne as your leading actors, because none of them are good actors.
I'm sure.
Or Rihanna.
We spoke about this recently, but I sat through that film, and at one point, Dane DeHaan starts giving it to Cara Delevingne, like, "Look, you're not going to marry me," and I went, "Wait, what? Are they not brother and sister?"
Yes, you thought they were brother and sister.
I was like, "Why is he trying to fuck his sister?"
It's the eyebrows.
Oh, it's bad.
It's the eyebrows.
A bad film.
Also, Dane DeHaan in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, awful as
film.
Harry Osborn. But yeah, The Matrix Resurrections.
That's how good Major Resurrections is. I want to talk about other movies.
I know, and
that
I'm gonna get through it. So I didn't rush for it. I knew how bad it was going to be. I saw the trailers. It looked disgusting, but then everyone online
had that weird. All the trailers had that weird sheen. Yeah, and I think it was trying to do the whole it's because it's in the Matrix. We're not trying to hide.
It's
that
a new
fact.
Matrix, so it's going to be up-resed and all this kind of stuff. Then the movie started, and I sat in a near enough empty screen, and this was 2 weeks after the movie came out, so word of mouth had gotten around. And I just sat there, not angry or pissed off or sad at because the Matrix, after the Matrix, had kind of,
The Matrix is already dead. This was This was like the weekend at Bernie's for the Matrix.
Exactly.
They've strapped a bunch of strings to a corpse and they're pretending it's still going.
I just kind of sat there with bewilderment and bewilderment. Like I was just
when it started, and it started with that weird meta storyline of
we're in the first Matrix,
we're in the
but
first
we're not.
Matrix, but we're not. Keanu Reeves is here, and he's made a video game called
The Matrix.
The Matrix, and he made 2 more video games, and he's now working on.
He's now being forced to work on a
The
fourth
Matrix
one.
Online. No, he's been forced to work on a 4th one, which he doesn't want to do, but the studio's making us.
Yeah, and they want to make it new and like.
Wink, wink. Look what I'm saying.
Do you get what Lana's saying, guys? Do you get what Lana's saying to you? The studio made this. This is her telling the traumatic story of how she was forced to make a Matrix movie. Oh, the hardship. Poor Lana Wachowski. I feel so. Fuck off. Like, say no. Who cares? No one cares about the Matrix anymore. And just because
Let them make it, and it would have been bad, and you wouldn't have had your name strapped to the fucking front of
like
it.
you could have gone off and done anything, but like no, I have to protect it. It's mine. Like I made it. It's like yeah, you made it, and then you fucked it.
The new
So, like,
Agent Smith is bad.
Who was the new Agent
That
Smith?
guy with the intense
Oh,
eyes.
the guy from like Mindhunter and
I don't know where he's from. I just remember him being bad in this film. Neil Patrick Harris's new
Awful
computer. Because they've obviously always had like a computer bad guy in each one.
Yeah.
Well, and it started with Agent Smith, fine. Then you had the architect, you had the ghosts, you had
the Oracle.
The Oracle.
You had the KFC guy.
The architect.
Yeah.
So you've had all these characters who only exist inside the Matrix because they're
I
like.
always liked the train
coding.
guy.
Yeah, Train Guy was cool.
Yeah.
But then you get Neil Patrick Harris, who
Is a therapist trying to manipulate him into doing things, and that was the moment I was just like, I can't do this. When he's like, "Oh, I now control bullet time." You're just like, you don't call it that in the movie. You
I'm
don't call
faster than bullet time.
You don't call it bullet time in the movie. That's the
I, like now that I'm thinking about it. Sorry, now I'm thinking about it because I don't think I spoke about it in this much depth. Because I was just like, no, it's fine. I don't want to talk about it. But now I'm here having to speak about it for content. What was Neil Patrick Harris like? He was in charge. He got put in charge by the robots to make sure Neo didn't become the one. But he got fed up. Am I remembering this right? He got fed up of doing that, and he decided he could kill Neo and take over the Matrix.
I think it was he could use Neo to make the Matrix what it is, but he needed Trinity there as well because their powers combined.
It's their story. Their want for each other is the most powerful piece of something.
Yeah, so it could make the Matrix happen, but they can never touch. And they bring Neo back to life, and they bring Trinity back to life.
Yeah, do you remember they die in Zion in the end of the 3rd film? Well, apparently the robots can just make people now. So
yeah, I mean that's another thing.
Just clone people.
And I hate when movies do this. Neil Blomkamp's infamous for doing this in his movies. They eradicate the concept of death. So now, I like, or those Kingsman movies when like, what's his name?
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth dies in the first one, which is like, oh my god, they've killed Colin Firth. The second one's like, oh, just put a gel pack in his head. He's alive again.
Which is really weird in the Kingsman films because they do that. They're like, we saved Colin Firth. All right, cool. But also we started this film by killing off everyone.
Yeah, everyone's dead.
Why did you save Colin? Just start fresh. Either start fresh or don't start fresh.
I was just so. I thought we put a gel pack and he's alive, and it's just.
And they killed Martin Strong in that film as well. I watched that. Did I tell you I watched that
Strong?
film? Mark
You
Strong?
keep putting Martin in front of Martin Lawrence, Martin Strong. When it comes to the closing thoughts of the Matrix Resurrections,
Make me a cupcake. That's all I can say.
cupcake. That's the end. How about this? Out of the 3 of those main ones we talked about, No Way Home, Ghostbusters, and Matrix Resurrections, what would you say is the best one?
Weirdly, probably Ghostbusters.
Really?
So, right, because No Way Home, No Way Home kind of gets a free pass. It's Marvel. I love Spider-Man. It would be too easy to be like, yeah, it's fine. It's the best one. Like, and really for the setting up of the next Marvel film, like it doing what it had to do, checking all those boxes, it does all of that stuff, and it has some great moments in the middle of the film, which are all marred down by all the stuff we didn't like. Ghostbusters 2 is 2/3 of a good film, I would honestly say. I think it's trying to set stuff up and then it just loses it in that 3rd act. Whereas No Way Home has so fucking much of that just littered. Like if we're talking in the scope of which one of these is the worst for remember shit.
Yeah.
I think Ghostbusters is on top of that pile.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's the best. I think No Way Home is a better movie.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, however, isn't as bad until that third act.
When it comes to Remember Berries.
That's what. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that what we? Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So Ghostbusters is the least bad. No Way Home's in the middle, and Matrix is. Yeah, Matrix is the worst for it. Matrix is the worst for it because it goes through so many hoops to be like, remember Morpheus? Yeah. Well, we don't have him. Sorry, but look,
we have another
still
guy.
remember Morpheus. Like, no, what the fuck? Just don't do Morpheus then. Like,
it's when it was like they're in a theater or something, and it's showing you clips from the original Matrix. You're like, hey, here is literally the film you remember. It like at least with No Way Home and Ghostbusters, it's not like here's the. Well, I guess Ghostbusters has like news clips, but it's not like. Here's literal scenes from the film. Whereas Matrix Resurrections is so dense in how it thinks. It's just like, fuck it, let's just show the thing we're trying to make the people remember. Why even, like, remember Morpheus? Look, there he literally is in the movie you've seen.
Remember the first opening sequence of The Matrix? Yeah. Well, would you like to see it again with new people?
From a different angle, and it's not as. Here is the most
as good.
Here's the most mental thing about that fucking thing. Oh my god, Gary! I can't believe we're going to keep going. The opening scene to Matrix Resurrections is the same, more or less, as the opening scene to The Matrix, except the fight choreography and the camera work in Resurrections is so fucking bad. It's just like, how can you be like, hey, remember this movie, but worse? Literally, we're going to get a different actors, put them in the exact same scene. We're going to shoot it differently, and we're not going to shoot it well. And you're going to be like, why? Why would I want to see this? Why would I want to see something that I love and was incredible at the time that changed the landscape of the way cinema was shot and presented and give it to me worse? How did you get worse at it? Like, the fight scenes in Matrix Resurrections are embarrassing.
They're not great. Not a single one of them has a moment where I'm like, oh, but that bit with the thing was cool. I just can't remember any of them.
Like, if you're watching...
All I remember is Neil Patrick Harris being faster than bullet time.
Oh god!
And even that, I remember, like you say, just seeing in the cinema, like, what?
Like, why? The most mental thing is like when they do this scene where it's Morpheus and Neo and they're doing the training thing, and like in a big CGI room instead of just being in a room like in the first one because that was so difficult. The fight scene is so stilted. Like, there's no movement to it. There's no fluidity to it. And then you go back and you look at the first Matrix and you get that scene. And the way the camera work moves with the music and the beats and the hits and everything just flows. And the words are almost rhyme in the movement of the editing. And it's so beautiful, just the way it plays out. And you get to this new one, it's just like, what are we doing? We don't know what we're doing. Cut. Bum, bum, bum. This is terrible. And you're just like I just don't... I want to round this episode off talking about some silly things that happen in No Way Home. Just little plot holes and little nonsense things, and then we can finish up. My favorite one is when Ned is learning the magic ring, and he's like, let's just think of Peter Parker, and we'll bring in Peter Parker. Spins the ring. The portal opens. Andrew Garfield's like, the whole audience goes crazy. Ah, cool. Moving on. That's not our Peter Parker, Ned. Try again. Okay. Spin the ring. Another one comes through. This nondescript man who's not wearing a Spider-Man suit just kind of awkwardly steps through. It's a weird moment. It's a very odd moment. But you're overcome with the excitement.
You're like,
of
oh
it
shit, it's Tobey McGuire. Right? I don't understand why Andrew Garfield gets to come through. It gets to run and jump through, and Tobey McGuire just kind of like, oh, hey guys. Hi, I'm here. Bizarre. Anyway, that's not the point I'm talking about. What I find mental is if I was in Spider-Man No Home and I was Ned or MJ, I would be like, holy shit, 2 Spider-Mans. Guess that's it. I would be like, we should trying,
form
right?
an army of Spider-Men.
Best thing's going to happen, we have more Spider-Man. Well, best case scenario, we find our Spider-Man.
Yeah. Worst
case scenario, we end up with 10 more Spider-Men. We don't lose in this situation. Why do they stop? Keep fucking spinning for Spider-Man.
Just fucking get into the Spider-Verse animated.
Fuck yeah.
Get Chris Pine's animated Spider-Man fucking
nuts.
in there. Get the one from the Japanese Spider-Man that they did in the 80s. Get that guy in.
The second thing I found mental was... These two are kind of interchanged. I know this is the big one everyone's talking about. And he's like, we're going to cure them and we're going to send them back to where they came from. So when they all arrive, Electro's like, oh man, I was just about to burst into nothing, and Spider-Man was fighting me. I was literally just about to die. So they're like, right, we're going to send them back to their point in time. Cool. To when he was just about to die?
Yes.
So you're going to send Electro back into an infinite space where he is electricity without his powers as a human being. So you're going to fill up a bunch of wires with man meat that has no way of escaping. He's dead. He's dead. You're going to send Willem Dafoe back to the moment he's about to be fucking skewered by his own backglider without any of his powers where he can fucking jump out of the way of it.
I didn't even realize that.
They're sending them back to their deaths every time.
They're sending these regular human beings with no powers back to their deaths.
And if anything, they're going to make Spider-Man's lives harder, because then when it's like
he wasn't even superpowered. He was just a dude.
Cut back to the fucking regular, like, did Spider-Man just kill that guy? And wait. The final thing, part 3 of things that just didn't make any fucking sense in Spider-Man. Electro turns up, right? So the film states...
I think you're going to say what I'm going to say.
The film states it clear. All the villains that come through know who Spider-Man is. They know who Peter Parker is, not Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
They know who Peter Parker is, because that's what Strange is getting rid of. Peter Parker is like, everyone who knows who you are, Peter, could come to this universe. Electro turns up. Oh, man, I thought Spider-Man was going to be black. Wait, so do you not know who Peter Parker is? Sorry, who's Peter Parker? What are you doing in this movie?
How did you get here? And the other problem is, why all of a sudden is Electro, because I guess Jamie Foxx didn't really care, why is he just like this cool, suave, just like, yeah, I'm Electro, I'm hot and I'm cool. And you're just like,
fucking knows. Did you know that, who is it that plays Sandman?
I can't remember the actor's name, but it's all just like clips in Spider-Man 3. No?
They got the actors in, they re-recorded, not even re-recorded, they recorded all brand new voice lines. So they had those actors on the paid list. They're like, guys, we're going to get you in, we're going to get you to do some lines of your characters. Sick. Then we're just going to make you monsters, and we're going to make you like, so you'll be the Lizard the entire film, you're going to be Sandman the entire film. All right, nice one. And then at some point they were like, you know what would be cool? If we see them back as they're humans. Can we get in touch with them to film that? Nah, just get some fucking reused footage.
Yeah, and then from like Spider-Man 3,
and it looks terrible in the film.
Yeah, because it's a... Like, they've taken the scene from Spider-Man 3, people have found it online of like the scene they've taken it from.
It's literally
and it's just him
footage.
just kind of like looking up at nothing and like...
It's reused footage, and it looks bad in No Way Home, because it looks like it's hard to relight something.
If we want to speak about things looking bad, the CGI in No Way Home is not good.
Yeah, some bad bits. There's some bad bits.
But we'll save that for another time. Probably when we'll talk about CGI. We'll wrap up.
Sorry I talked about coming so much.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of it.
My brain and my whole physical being.
I feel like the problem is
you've
been cut off from podcasting for so long that you've saved all of this madness up, and now you just want to let it flow out. And I'm here to receive it all, including your cum cake. So yes, this has been episode 3 of season 3 of the Meandering Movie. I'm doing karate chops podcast, or I'm doing Krav Maga because I learned that at some point. No, I have not. Wrapping up wise, again, social medias.
You don't need to say again. This isn't a week later.
I'm just gonna.
For us, it feels like we're doing it again. For everyone else, this is a week on, so you don't have to.
Or I don't know when it's going to be. Yeah,
2 weeks on.
Jump down into the description. You will get social medias for everything. I'm also going to give a shout out to my friend Liam, who is a listener to the podcast. He's a
bit late to the party.
He is, but
let's not. Let's just.
But he's now catching up.
He's a bit late. But
he's catching up, and he loves.
We're happy to have you.
He loves the podcast, and he's an incredible photographer. And I am going to leave his website and his Instagram in the description. Go check out his work. Go support him. He's a lovely person.
I'm streaming again.
Oh yeah, and Gary is streaming
back on
again.
Twitch. www.twitch.com/Gwario. GWARIO.
Yeah, I'll have to change. There'll be a link in the description for that, which I will sort.
Come watch me play games. Currently, it's Sunday, and tonight I'm going to be playing spooky games. I don't know when you listen to this, it probably won't be, but I try and do spooky Sundays every Sunday. You can just watch me come and shite my pants.
Gary is the most scared person you've ever met in your life. And even the least scariest of games terrify him, and it's a treat to watch.
I get frightened. Guys, thanks for listening. That's been the Meandering Movie Podcast. We're making steps to get back on this old choo-choo podcasting train.
If life allows us.
Would you eat my cum cake?
No. Anyway, goodbye.
I'd make you eat my cum cake.
Music is no longer loud.
I'd force you.
It's Meandering Movies. It's meandering movies. It's meandering movies. So won't you lend an ear?